Hi guys, my name is Valerie and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Now in this video we will be looking at 9 pillows that I have made here in the studio by using fabric remnants and samples. Now fabric samples, as you can see here, are much like remnants, right? They're little pieces of fabric. They're the pieces of fabric that you will get when you go to like a designer showroom. Yeah, they are very useful for making a variety of home decor accessories. Now, these 9 pillows that we'll be looking at, stick a pen, don't leave. You will want to see the pillows, I promise you. They are made from either a combination of ultra suede and faux leather, or just faux leather, or just ultra suede. Right now, why do we combine certain colors of fabric? Because they speak to each other. Now check this one out that I made. I had one panel of this fabric here, which has a sheen on it, and it has mottled black color with a deep brown undertone. What I did was cut the one in two. I put one at the front here and one at the back here, and these two pieces I use because they're all brown, right? They're a variation of brown on the brown scale, right? And so that is the reason why I combine them, because I know that they will live harmoniously together. Now, when I cut the one piece into two, what I did was I got a strip of ultra suede hair and a strip here, and then I stitched them together to make two of these panels. Then I basically just stitch them together and put the zipper in, and that's it for your number one pillow. Isn't this lovely? This is lovely for maybe a den, for a male office, or even a female office, depending on the look and feel that you are trying to achieve in the space. Number two pillow, I actually made with a feature that is special. I have added pockets to this pillow, and these pockets can be used for a cell phone, for example. You can stick your cell phone in here if you're sitting on the couch, right? And so, yeah, that was just a little added feature that I thought I could add, which you could add to your pillow depending on the look and feel you want in your space, right? And how functional you want your pillow to be. Number three, I promise you, it's gonna be lovely. Check this out, my friends. Not only did I use fabric remnants to make this pillow, but I also use leftover trim. These are tassel trim that I use to make, to add not only texture, but another dimension to the pillow, which helps to tie both the front fabric together with the back fabric. Because if you notice here, there is a mottled black finish on this fabric. However, there's also that deep brown, which coordinates nicely with the deep brown in the tassels. So what you want to do is to pull out a color that is similar. Doesn't have to be the same intensity or the same value. However, it should fit nicely together, right? You wouldn't want something that is starkly different from the tones that's in the pillow. Now, I use this. The reason I use this is because it's beige. So the beige picks up nicely with the lighter brown in the front of the pillow. I would not want to use something that's white, because then it would be too much of a contrast, unless of course that's what you want, right? Because to each his or her own, right? but just adding the tassel trim here on the diagonal gives movement to the pillow and make it even more aesthetically pleasing. Now I have another tasseled pillow. There we go, my friends. Now for this one, I chose to put the tassel detail on the lighter color to be the front. Although you could always turn it around like this if you don't want to see the tassel at any point, right? In this one, I have chosen to put the darker color on the front, so you can see that the beige trim here is contrasting nicely with the darker color. The thing is, because it's not white, there is not that stark contrast. It matches. I don't like to use the word match. I prefer to use the word coordinates. So it coordinates lovely with this darker brown color. And then the brown, darker brown trim here coordinates nicely too. But what it does is kind of recede and allow the beige trim to take a more center stage. Whereas here, the brown color here and the beige is more like on the same plane. And yeah, it also has a trim, also has this gold color running through it, which helps to coordinate with this back panel here. The back panel here in this one, it has a crackled finish. This one has a gentle crackled finish, but not as crackled as this one. And it also has more like a kind of an orange undertone. So we could say it's orange brown. But yeah, the gold on the trim goes nicely with the color on the back. So you always want to find something in your fabrics on your trim that's going to help to pull your pillow together when you're done. I guess you can do color blocking, but color blocking trend I never really like unless it's a color block where you have some type of a pattern fabric that you take the colors from the pattern to get like the solid fabrics to go with that pattern. I don't like the pink and the purple and the, no, I need something on that piece to ground the piece that you are doing. Just like you need something in your room to ground your room. A focal point is a great way to ground your room, right? Here we go, another one. This is pillow number 5. We have a black full leather here. And what did I do? I chose a red, as you can see right here. But guess what? The red actually has a crackly finish, and the color that's in this pattern is black. And therefore the black here correlates nicely with the black on the back of the pillow. Simple, simple, straight. Just choose something from one of your fabric, because sometimes you don't have remnant that you can do like a whole pillow from that piece of remnant, and you want to mix fabric, textures or pattern. Just choose something that will make sure that your piece coordinates nicely. Here is another one. I have chosen to use a solid one panel on the back, and then I have added like an ombre effect on the front. Now these 3 came from 3 different pieces of fabric. I cut one strip, cut the other strip, and cut the other strip, and then I put them together to make one panel, and then join the, well, I would say one panel, so I joined it to the other panel to create the pillow. Now I started with, I wanted to do the ombre effect, so therefore I started with the darker one, then the one with not so dark, and then the lighter one. So it comes up, right? Now you could go ahead and put this in the middle if you want, but I think it makes more flow when you go from darker to lighter. And there you go. You have your pillow. And this one is similar. Actually, I took strips from this one. The one panel I had, I cut it so that I could use a strip here and a strip here. And then I had this left over, so I put this together to make this pillow. But yeah, let's check this one out. We have a lighter and a darker. However, they have their, as I said before, the brown color at some value on the brown scale. And what makes them go together nicely is also because they have similar textured finish. Check out the texture on both of these. Similar texture, right? Similar texture. So the texture, the fact that they're on the brown color scale actually helps to gel them together, to make them feel like they were meant to be together, right? So don't be afraid to cut your fabrics. And like if you want to make a pair of pillows and you don't have enough fabric, don't be afraid to like cut a piece from your panel to put on this one. Put on this one. In that way you can go ahead and make the pair of pillow that you want. If you get what I'm saying, I hope you do. If you don't, let me hear it so I can explain it for you. And then this is our, no, that's not the final one. There's one more down here. But yeah, here we go again. This darker mottled color in this one coordinates nicely with this. These two are more of a contrasting color. It creates a little tension in the pillow, but a subtle one, because as I mentioned before, they're all on the brown scale, right? This one looks a bit like orange, like it has an orange undertone, and this one looks like it has a green undertone. So that's where you'd get a little tension, but they go nicely together. And similar texture, similar weight. Yeah, think about the texture when you're combining your fabric. Think about the weight of the fabric, and also think about whether or not your fabric drains, or as we would say in my culture, runs, which means that the dye may mess with the other fabric that you are pairing it with. So you gotta be mindful of that. For this one, I had 2 panels of fabric, but I didn't want to have just one on the front. You do all this to create interest in your pillow, right? I just didn't want to have like a beige on the front and then this one on the back. So what did I do? I cut a piece of this panel and I put it on the back. And then I cut a piece of this fabric and I put it on the front, right? So in that way, you create a little more interest in your pillow. I could actually also take this piece and put over this side and have this piece over here. I chose to put the 2 pieces I cut at the same place here. But what I'm saying, I could have taken this piece, flip this instead, and this would be over here, and this would be over here, right? It all depends on the look that you want, guys. But you can do so much, so much, so much with fabric remnants, right? And fabric samples. These fabric samples, you can always find them in thrift store. You can find them in designer flea markets or just a regular flea market. Yeah, but little pieces of fabric can do great things. Again, my name is Valerie. Thank you so much for being here. please like, leave me a comment, share, and watch these videos for me. I will see you again soon.